Hi everyone. My name is Alejandra, and I'll be continuing on with the second part of chapter 3, which is practical considerations in using data. So when we're looking at intentional guidance, we're looking at closing the gap and having an action plan for closing that gap. So intentional guidance includes activities that refer to closing the gap because they are designed to close identified gaps in achievement between two groups of students. And here we have some examples. So if I'm looking to close the gap, high school graduation completion rate gap with Latinx students, then I would compare them to a group that has higher rates to again close the gap. When looking at intentional guidance and closing the gap, it is important that school counselors disaggregate the data to uncover equity and access issues. So one question school counselors can ask when they're looking to disaggregate data is, are all groups of students attending college at the same rates? So looking at students, you can disaggregate data by looking at ethnicity, gender, and or socioeconomic status. So again, looking at particular target groups to really have a holistic view in terms of what the student needs are. And again, identify the gap to then increase the gap for the targeted population. On this next slide, we have the creating an action plan with evaluation in mind. And this diagram should look familiar. It is essentially the exact same, it just looks different to the diagram that Professor Solis gave to us the very first day of class. So looking at the process data, perception data, and how those two will change the student's behavior. And then that end result should give us the results data for achievement related data. So it could be any one of these factors that would then impact the achievement data. So it could be any one of these factors. And again, here in the bottom, we have the guidance curriculum. So the curriculum the school counselor will implement to then again attain an achievement data for the targeted student population and close that gap. And then the intervention. So what intervention is being addressed? So for example, starting off here on the left-hand side with process data, that's the who, what, when, where, how long, perception data, so that changing the student's attitude, skills, and knowledge. And then having those attitude, skills, and knowledge impact one of these achievement related data and the achievement data. So just to give you an example, let's say a middle school counselor is going to implement a study skills group counseling session for 8 weeks. Okay, so identifying the who, what grades, the what, so that would be study skills, a study skills group session, the when, the where, and how long. So with the study skills group session, the aim should be to change the student's attitude to believe that doing homework matters, right? So then that would in turn have higher homework completion skills. So let's say one of the skills they learn in the study skills session is how to calculate their GPA, which is an important skill to have. And that way they can keep track of their GPA. And then knowledge, what knowledge is being gained during the study skills session. And one of those things could be knowing the best places and times and ways to study, because that is very important when they are at home. And so again, changing the students' attitudes, helping them find the skills or learning new skills and gaining knowledge to change their behavior. So using that study skills session as an example, if the student is implementing those skills, it should then increase their attendance rate and homework completion to then have them have higher grade point averages, higher graduation rates, and then some of these other achievement data may also be impacted as well. And then the last slide here covers data over time. So looking at immediate, intermediate, and long range data. So immediate data would be when a school counselor has immediate feedback from the target population. And this could be done in a pre-test or a post-test in that study skills session that is conducted before and after each session that then assesses the students or the intervention impact on the student's attitude, skills, and or knowledge. Intermediate data collected would be after a quarter, trimester, or semester. So let's say the study skills was targeting students who were not passing their math and English class. So looking after the semester, did those students that were targeted pass their math and English classes? What impact did that study skills session or sessions have on the students, and looking at their semester grades? And then long-term data, looking at important patterns, trends, and discrepancies in the data that can be discovered by analyzing over time. So if we're looking, let's say, at sixth graders that took that study skills group session, after the semester, let's say their math and English courses improved, but maybe in seventh grade, they began to get better grades and maybe their overall GPA increased. So again, looking at those patterns and trends is also very, very important when you're considering using your data and when you're looking to close a certain achievement gaps. All right, so that does it for chapter 3. If you'll have any questions for Kelly or myself, feel free to email us or reach out. Thanks.